talk about how to complete your application for Smith College's MSW program. My name is Michelle, and I'm the founder of MSW Helper. MSW Helper is a resource hub designed to help you through the daunting process of applying to Master of Social Work programs. I started MSW Helper after going through the process of applying to graduate school programs and realizing that there was such little support that was specific to the social work field. So after I got accepted to my MSW, I started creating resources and supporting people with their applications to various MSW programs. And over the years, our team of application advisors have supported thousands of students in getting accepted to their dream MSW programs through our free resources, as well as our academic advising services. Now, something that is important to note before we get into this video is that everything in this video is a reflection of myself and my own opinions and MSW Helper. I am in no way affiliated with Smith College, and so, this is not a reflection of them or their opinions. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to application requirements, the school is going to ask for a couple different things. So the first is your transcripts and your GPA. They want you to submit every transcript for every academic institution that you have attended. In addition to that, they have no minimum GPA requirements. Instead, they have taken an approach that is more holistic in nature. They really want to get a sense of who you are as a person and as a potential social worker. Sometimes your GPA does not reflect your true ability for the program. And so that's why they don't have a specific GPA requirement, because they understand that. This is something that comes up a lot in our work with clients. And sometimes people come to us and they're worried about their low GPA. And what I always say is that you are so much more than your GPA, and often that is reflected in other parts of your application. So, for example, maybe there's two applicants and one has an amazing GPA, but they never had to work. They never volunteered. They never got involved with any extracurriculars. On the flip side, another applicant might have a lower GPA, but they were very involved. They had to support themselves through school. They had to support their family. Maybe they went through something very challenging while they were in their undergrad, and that led to a reduced GPA. But even though it led to a lower GPA, that experience developed their resilience and reinforced their desire to pursue social work. So that's what they mean when they say they are looking at applications holistically. They really want to get a sense of the nuanced pieces of your application and get a sense of who you really are as a person. Okay, in addition to that, they are going to want 3 references. They do prefer that you get your references from a supervisor. And if for some reason you are not able to get a reference from a supervisor, you can reach out to the school directly on how to approach that. And in addition to that, your references should really be focusing on transferable skills to social work. So even if you are making a career change, there are always transferable skills that you can talk about in your application. And I'm going to link a resource in the description below for your references who are coming from a different field on how to write a reference letter that is specific to the social work field. Okay, in addition to that, they are going to want your resume. They do provide a resume template, so make sure that you go to the website and download the specific template that they want you to use. This makes it easier for them to skim through and view things in a very organized way. They also have said that your resume can be more than 2 pages. Often when we create resumes for job applications, we are strongly encouraged to keep our resume to 1 to 2 pages. And often to do that, you may need to leave different experiences off your resume. Generally, with a social work or grad school CV, they want to see everything. So, because of that, you can definitely go more than 2 pages and just make sure that you include all of your past experiences, all your internships, volunteer opportunities. They really do want to see it all. Okay, and then the last piece are the essays. And this is where we're going to spend a lot of time today because this is kind of our area of specialty. And I know it's something that is a little bit daunting as well. So they do ask for 5 essays, and together those essays are going to be between 8 to 10 pages in length, double spaced. I just realized it says 5 to 10, it should be 8 to 10. So yeah, we will go through and talk about how you can answer all of those prompts. Going to be assessing your application for academic rigor. So this involves evaluating the applicant's ability to engage with and excel in demanding academic environments. They're also looking for evidence of empathetic compassion. So, they want to understand your ability to connect with others and demonstrate genuine care and understanding. And I think this is something that you will see in the prompts that, they are definitely offering a lot of opportunities for you to reflect on some of those things. And then they also want to get an understanding of your understanding of clinical social work. They really want to know, why are you interested in both social work and more specifically becoming a clinical social worker? So we'll dive more into that later on. They have also outlined the NASW Code of Ethics, as well as the School of Social Work's 5 guiding principles to guide your responses. So make sure that you take a look at both of those resources before you start writing and allow those principles to guide some of your responses. Okay, so let's dive into the specific prompts or essays. So prompt number 1 is discuss your educational history, which can include undergraduate or post-undergraduate experience, and the ways in which it has prepared you for graduate education in clinical social work. What are your academic strengths and what are areas you can identify for further growth? So the school is asking this question to gain an understanding of your background and your goals and your desire to pursue social work. I'm going to break up the response into 2 parts because the first part of the question is asking about your educational history and how that's prepared you. And then the second part of the question is about your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so for the first part of the question, here are some questions that you can reflect on. What is your educational background and how does it overlap with social work? Why did your education motivate you to pursue a career in social work? If your educational background does not overlap with social work, why are you making the change to social work? If you have been out of school for a long time, why are you choosing to pursue an MSW degree now? And what are your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish with your MSW degree? For example, maybe you have an undergraduate degree in psychology. You pursued psychology initially because you had a strong desire to help people and specifically get into the mental health space. While you were pursuing your undergraduate degree, you did a minor in women's studies. And through that, you learned more about, systemic barriers, oppression, marginalization. And it made you realize that while you still wanted to go down the path of mental health and therapy, you really wanted to bring more of a social justice lens into your work. And you realized that the field of psychology is very focused on individual pathology. So you're choosing a career in social work because it will allow you to provide those mental health supports with a perspective that is more social justice oriented and aligned with your own values and goals. I think there are so many ways that you could go about answering this question, and it's going to really depend on your own unique journey. And that is what schools are interested in learning about. So Really reflect on some of your experiences and why are you choosing a career in social work at this time. Okay, so the second part of the question is asking about your strengths and your areas for growth. So in answering those questions, think about the following. What unique skills and perspectives do you offer to the program? What is something that you do well that has led you to be prepared for the rigorous demands of graduate school? And what is something that you struggled with in your undergraduate degree? And what steps have you taken to improve that thing? So some examples of academic strengths would be things like a strong work ethic, critical thinking skills, resilience. Some examples of areas of growth would be things like procrastination, time management, or overcommitment. When answering this part of the question, make sure that you get specific with concrete examples, and also be sure to discuss your action plan for developing some of those skills and show that it is something that you're working on. This might also be a good spot to discuss your lower undergraduate GPA if that is something that you feel is relevant to talk about. So like I said earlier, maybe you went through something and it led to a lower GPA, or maybe there's a reason behind it and that's something that you want to explain further. So that is something that you can do in this section. So prompt number 2, describe a significant interpersonal interaction you have experienced in an academic, volunteer, or work setting. Discuss your interaction and all the ways in which your actions reflect your capacity to work empathetically and effectively. So the school is asking this question because they want to gain an understanding of your critical thinking skills and alignment with social work values. So this is where it might be really helpful to reflect on the NASW Code of Ethics and social work values. So to answer this question, here are some things that you can ask yourself. Has there ever been a time where you disagreed with a colleague or supervisor? What happened? Why did you disagree with them? And how did you respond? What did this teach you? And how will you apply this lesson to your future social work career? Have you ever had an interaction with someone that made you realize something about working with people or society as a whole? Why did this experience motivate you to pursue social work? Can you think back to a situation where you reflected on your privilege? What did this make you realize? How will you apply this lesson to your future social work career? So I think that there are a couple ways that you can go about answering this question, but the biggest thing is showing your critical thinking skills and your alignment with the values of the social work profession. So you definitely don't need to reflect on all of those prompts, but try to think of something that shows the admissions committee your critical thinking skills and how you arrived at a decision and how you dealt with something challenging. To further kind of get your brain working on this, here's some questions to ask yourself about the various ideas that you come up with. So what social work skills did you gain through this interaction? Is there anything that you might have done differently looking back, and why? What did you learn in this situation? How did this situation reinforce or challenge your approach to social work practice? So they basically want you to critically reflect on that experience. Even if it was something where maybe you didn't handle it the best, that is something that you can absolutely reflect on and talk about what you learned or gained from that situation and how it's going to challenge your approach as a social worker moving forward. Prompt number 3 is describe an experience you have had in an academic, volunteer, or professional setting that required you to demonstrate the capacity for self-reflection and self-management in a role that placed you in service to others. The reason schools ask this question is because critical self-reflection is such an important social work skill. So they are using this section to assess your ability to critically self-reflect on, the different, your different roles and your different experiences. So to answer this question, here are some more questions that you can ask yourself. Was there a time where you realized that you held a biased perspective because of a cultural difference or a difference in worldview? Was there ever a time that you made an assumption about what was best for the client? Or have you ever faced an ethical conflict while working with a client? Okay, and here's a couple examples. An applicant who worked with a client suggested an intervention without considering the client's unique worldview or culture. This led to diminished therapeutic rapport with the client, and they ended up seeking services elsewhere. Another example, an applicant worked with a client whose wishes went against what they thought was in their best interests. So they were worried if they just blindly did what the client wanted, that it would potentially hurt them, but they also wanted to respect their right for autonomy and making their own decisions. So they wanted to, respect the client's right to self-determination, but they also did not want to cause harm, thus creating an ethical conflict. This can come from direct experience working with, in a social services role, or this might come from other professional experiences, or even a personal experience that you might have. The biggest thing is the analysis of the situation. How did you feel? What was the conflict? What did you end up doing? And is there anything that you would have done differently? And what did this teach you about your future social work career? So when you are going about answering this question, ask yourself the following. Did you face an ethical dilemma in this situation? If yes, how did you navigate it? Is there anything that you wish you could have done differently? What did this experience teach you? What did you learn about yourself in the situation? And how will this experience influence your future social work practice? Prompt 4, discuss your personal or professional experiences, work with racism and or oppression. What strengths, challenges, or lessons have you taken from these experiences? So the pursuit of social justice is a core value in social work. So social workers need to develop a really deep understanding of how racism and oppression shape human experiences and influence our work with communities. That's why they're asking this question, and it's so important for you to, critically respond to this prompt. So to respond to this prompt, think about the following. How has your positionality, culture, or worldview shaped your experiences? What is your understanding of topics like intersectionality, privilege, and oppression? How does your identity and background shape your social work practice? What lessons have you learned through personal or professional experiences? What lessons have you learned? And how will these experiences shape your practice? When answering this question, I think it's really important to think about a concrete example that you can share. One big mistake that I often see people make is they will simply say, yep, I agree that, racism is a bad thing, and I will act in a way that aligns with social work values. The problem is that's something that anybody can say, and it doesn't actually show that you have been doing the work. So I think it's really important to reflect on some specific examples that you can share that really show your understanding and what you have been doing to check your own privilege and, work towards bettering your practice. And this brings us to the final prompt, number 5. Why do you believe that the Smith MSW program is a good fit for you? What skills and attributes do you bring to clinical social work? So Smith College is interested in this question because they want to gain an understanding of why you are interested in their school in particular. More specifically, they are curious to know why you are interested in clinical social work. So to answer this prompt, I recommend reflecting on the following. Why are you choosing a clinical specialization? Why are you choosing social work instead of another route to becoming a therapist or a counselor? So for example, why are you choosing social work over counseling psychology? I think this is a really important question to ask yourself, especially if you are coming from a similar field. So, for example, a lot of people choose social work from their undergraduate degree in psychology. So, I think it's really important to identify why you have ultimately decided to make the move to social work over continuing down the psychology path. Okay, and why does Smith College appeal to you? What do they offer that is different from other schools? How does their mission and values align with your own? And how will this program enable you to meet your professional goals and learning needs? I think that no matter what school you are applying to, it's very important to really reflect on why you are choosing their school out of hundreds of others. I think that this shows that you really did your research and that you're very passionate about the school that you are applying to. And it also shows them that you are an amazing fit for the program, and this is why. So this is an important question to answer. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the prompts and a general overview of how to complete your application to Smith College. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. And if you are applying to your Master of Social Work, I highly recommend checking out mswhelper.com. Over there, you are going to find more resources on how to apply to MSW programs. We have free personal statement templates. And if you are struggling with these questions, you can also meet with one of our talented application advisors who can help you map out your experiences and all of the nuanced things about you and help you map out a plan for how to answer all of these questions in a cohesive and succinct way that still meets the word count. I know sometimes the hardest part is, how do I take all of my experiences and insights and put it down into 8 to 10 page paper? So yeah, that's something that we are definitely here to help you out with. Either way, I hope that this has helped you. And if you have any questions, please let us know.